LitRPG fans will always remember 2023 as the year that hillbilly trucker in Oklahoma went off on their favorite genre, and lo, there was much weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. It still amuses me, and I say it every time I talk about this genre. I have no idea what YouTube wants. I have no idea what you people are after. I make one pissed off rant video in my truck on the drive home from work, and it's like the third most popular thing I've ever posted. So here we are. I am now the anti-lit RPG guy on YouTube. And as such, a prominent author within that genre reached out to me this summer prior to the release of his latest book and said, hey, can I send you an advanced copy of this one for a review purpose? I said, sure, after I looked him up, of course. Turns out he's very successful in LitRPG. His name is Seth Ring. In the videos that I've done on this genre, his books have been mentioned a couple of times by the diehard fans and readers. One of them is called Battle Mage Farmer, which just shows how gonzo this genre can be. Okay, well, we're going to have a main character set in a world that does farming, and he's a battle mage farmer. Okay, cool. I haven't read that one yet. I'm going to check it out. It seemed interesting enough. But the book that Seth sent me was called DREAMER'S THRONE. And it did a lot of things better than, we'll say, the bulk of the genre does. One of my biggest beefs with LitRPG is, and this is coming from somebody who's not a role player. I don't do tabletop RPGs, and so I understand that from the outset, that puts me outside of the circle of the targeted audience. Fully acknowledge that. These novels tend to focus way too heavily on the system, the game metrics, the points, the attributes, all that stuff. Like, the characters regularly step outside of the narrative and pull up their own stat sheets and see what their strength and their charisma and all those characteristics are adding up to, where they can put their points. There are times when it can be done without needlessly disrupting the flow and the momentum of the story. I understand that to a lot of readers, that kind of stuff appeals to them because that's how the games operate. But for me, trying to access this genre from the outside, that's one of my biggest hurdles to it. Thus, it was impressive to me that when I read Dreamer's Throne, this element, while there was a system in the story, capital S system that explained, how characters level up and improve their qualities and so on and so forth, it was addressed regularly enough to service the needs of the story, but it wasn't overly emphasized to the detriment of the story. In fact, I would say after the first quarter of the book, or maybe even less, it doesn't come up all that much. You're aware that it's there, and the progress is given the attention that it's due, but other than that, the focus is on the story. You're still aware that you are inside, for the most part, a literary RPG. Our main character, whose name is Garrett, he finds himself dropped into a world, as is often the case with these books, and he's immediately got some significant physical limitations. This is a medieval style town. He's in the warehouses and the docks and the grunt working section of this medieval world. Not only is he a paraplegic, he's also an amputee. He's only got his left hand, but he's wired to be right-handed, so he can barely move, and he's got the deck stacked against him. But he's got a lot of intelligence and cunning. He's just got to figure out interpersonal relationships, who he can trust, who he can ally with, how to get in the good graces of the power brokers in this part of this kingdom. He's clever, he's witty. I like that in a character. And obviously he's not going to be smashing and grabbing his way through, so the story is a lot of, I almost want to say that it's like con work, but without the deception. He's reading people and he's figuring out, again, who the power players are, and not necessarily how to pit them against each other, but which one to gun for and say, okay, this guy's going to do this to you, this guy's trying that. I looked at your books, I figured out who's embezzling, and here's how you can hide funds and stuff. Like, he's making himself indispensable to these power players in ways that they hadn't considered because they've only got their brute force and their interpersonal cunning, but they don't have his intellect. And he puts that into play as he tries to elevate himself and secure his security, his safety and his future. in this world as he's trying to figure out the larger problem of what's going on. I listened to the audiobook. It was narrated by Michael Kramer, who I think he can be kind of boring, honestly. He's got a good voice, but he tends to read things kind of monotone. I mean, my wife listens to the Wheel of Time books to go to sleep. I was like, yeah, babe, I get it. So just, be aware of that. I know a lot of people like him, and he's accomplished and successful and all that, but I'm not going to spoil, anything else in the rest of the story. Just, the story itself, the setting and the mechanism for telling it, it avoided a lot of the pitfalls that have made other books in this genre unpalatable for me. And so, while it's not one that really knocked my socks off, or we'll say blew my hair back, the way that Dungeon Crawler Carl did, it was still very, very well done, and I was entertained all the way throughout. And when I'm reading a book, that's all I can ask for. So well done, Seth Ring. That's my honest review of Dreamer's Throne, which, as I understand it, is the first book in the series. Audiobook was like 12 hours. I think in print it's 400 something pages. So, it's not insignificant in length, but I wasn't, checking my watch all the way through saying, how much longer do I have to go? Like, it was fine. It was well paced. It was well done, and I'd read another. So go check out Dreamer's Throne by Seth Ring, and you can see the description below for all the relevant links. Till next time, drive safe. See you out there.